So hi all, welcome to this series. So this is a series I'm starting to basically impart about Agile Scrum Master role. So how anyone can be a good and efficient Scrum Master. So just going with any certification will be good in terms of getting the first boundary. I would say screening point you can clear out, but then you should have a good thorough understanding of the foundational functional concepts of the role, and then you can appear for the interview. Or if you are already in this role, this video will help you to become a more efficient scrum master. So while I will talk what is the scrum master role all about, and what are the aspect of it, I will begin with the most, I would say, the tipping point, the most basic foundational concept that you should be very clear about before you can be a proficient scrum master and grow into this career. So there are two things I would like to cover in this video. This won't be a very long video. So this series I'm mostly covering up in English only. Gradually, maybe if I feel after I complete this series, I can record this series entirely again in Hindi for the benefit of the viewers. So in this video, I will talk about process and empirical process. So there are two things that you need to be very clear about it. So now what is a process? So process is something you have heard a lot of time. So process is something where you are basically performing a task through some inputs, right? So through some activity which is ultimately giving you some outcome. So this usually is a process, right? So to do a certain things, there is some steps that needs to be followed. For example, if you have to apply for a passport, if you want to get a passport, then there is a process about it, right? You have to first apply it, then you have to get the documentation done, then you have to pay the fees. After payment of fees, your documentation gets validated. If the documentation is good, you will be issued a passport. Post police verification, if in case it is required, in most cases it is required, but yeah, just for example, then after that all that is completed, then next, the last step in the process is to courier that passport to you, right, to your home address. So in a similar way, you have to understand whatever we do in our life, be it in our daily life or professional life, we follow certain process, right? But then every step has to be well understood. So even in a process, if there are 10 steps and you are having a shallow understanding of those two, it is then gets very difficult to make that process efficient, right? To get the maximum efficiency out of it, you have to have best of understanding of each step. So because in the process, so if you understand these steps well, every time when you have to undergo that process, you will be able to generate the same kind of results, right? And that's the key. So because of this, there is another term that's come into picture: predictability, right? So any process, if I follow, for example, if I have to renew my driving license, and just for example, if I had renewed my driving license 5 years back, now I am doing it this time also after 5 years. If it is expiring for anyone, then he would have already gone through that process, right? And I would be knowing that this process has to be followed now also. So I am accustomed, I'm aware about the process, I am accustomed about how things work, and with this way, I will be able to generate same outcome, that without any facing issues, any rejections, I would be able to get my license renewed. So just to have an efficiency in place, you have to understand the steps behind the process, and any step, if you are not very sure of, build a thorough understanding. And this is just not about AI, this is about anything. Even if you do any other job, any other industry, process is everywhere, right? So, and then this gives birth to predictability. You are able to predict the outcome so well because you know there are defined processes, there are these steps you have to be followed, and then it will result into this outcome. So yes, and predictability is a very again another fundamental concept of agile, which will help you when I will talk about more. Predictability is a key term. But what if you don't know exact steps, right? You don't know what would be. You have to create a process, right? So because sometimes the process can be too complicated, right? and now how do you basically make it work for you? How do you understand it well, right? Like, how do you assure that your outcome is predictable? Then this comes of the empirical process, where basically you are using the inputs, right? You are following certain steps, and then you are reviewing the results. If the results are not as per your expectation, you are modifying your inputs. So when the process is too complicated, where we are basically providing the input, it undergoes those certain steps, right? And then you have an outcome, and if you feel that outcome is not up to your mark, then perhaps you work on improvement of your inputs, and then it results in another outcome of that, right? So just like the process I shared you one term predictability, in this also empirical process, because you do certain things just in empirical process, just like process gives a term, a bird to a term predictability. Empirical process gives agile concept called inspect and adapt. Inspect and adapt you would have heard if you are already familiar about agile, or if you are not, then you will hear it about a lot in coming sessions, and even in your career. If you are already there in the interviews, you might be getting asked what is inspect and adapt. So we will cover those in detail. But inspect and adapt again is what? You are doing something, you are reviewing the results, you are inspecting the outcome, and then you are adapting to the situation, that how your outcomes are more better and more as per the expectations. So again, it gives you better efficiency to the outcome, and it is very suitable in those complex situations where there is no straightforward steps to be followed. So I think in this video, I just want to cover about these two things only. This is the video one of the series. I will continue to make the videos, and I will tag accordingly in a playlist, so that you are aware about the aspects that I'm covering. So this series is dedicated for CSM, Certified Scrum Master. If you are, if you want to be a efficient scrum master, if you want to get into this role, definitely please do watch this series, like and share with your friends who want to be in a similar role, and please subscribe to the channel. So thanks a lot. Your next video will be out soon. Thank you.